name that you're going to hear more of if you haven't already. Lesa's an author. She's a family coach, and I know we all need something to do about coaching. So we're going to welcome her. Welcome, Lesa.
Thank you so much for having me, Phyllis. I appreciate you.
Well, Profiles, thank you. I like that. Profiles is a program that profiles an individual organization. We really want to get to know you. The audience that listens to us is going to want to get to know you too. And one of the things I said was that you were a family coach.
Yes.
Now, I also understand, if we can say something about this, folks, she tells me that she is a nanny. A worldwide traveling nanny. So tell us about that.
That is true, Phyllis. I travel all over the country and I work with families. And before I did that, I worked with special needs in the social work field. And the story behind that is that I love to teach and engage and to be able to just feel like I'm making a difference.
Yes.
And I found like 20 years ago, as I went up the ladder in the social work field where I was like running an agency with like 10 different departments, I lost that human touch that I wanted to make a difference with the clients. So I had to ask myself the question, what am I going to do to fulfill that void of me wanting to make a difference? So in some cases, people would consider me a rebel. I went from top management to saying, I'm going to work independently with families.
That's why I'm interviewing you, because you said that famous word rebel. That's yours truly.
And so basically, what's happened is that because I love to teach, and my goal really is to promote independence and responsibility in all the youth that I work with, whether they're 3 or whether they're 16. I'm going into homes where they really need some nurturing structure and some consistency. So as a coach, the families are calling me and saying, help, I need you. I don't know what to do right now. I mean, they're like too busy. They're overwhelmed.
Yes.
And so I go in there and I help them.
Well, don't you think it has something to do, too, with, everybody always says the generations, but don't you think it has something to do with how fast that we're moving? In other words, the kids are, even the little ones are doing social media. They're doing all the technology, and the parents might know some, might be with it, but not completely. Don't you think that has a factor?
It does have a major factor, and I try to bring in simplicity when I'm working with families. And my goal is, when I'm going in and working with a family, is to really strengthen that parent-child connection. Because I think that's so critical.
Oh, yeah.
Because not only do we know that we need it, but the other part is that the more that kids can get tied up in technology, they really can lose that human touch. And as they get out into the real world, if they're going to succeed, I've been of the belief, since who knows when, that you can be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't know how to engage with people, then you're only going to go so far. I mean, people that are multimillionaires and billionaires today had to create teams of people in order to make that happen.
Sure they did. Well, they had to be able to talk to people, which, by the way, I can just tell you quickly, I've known friends that were very brilliant and very technologically advanced, but I noticed that they never wanted to come to any meetings, or, they'd say, Phyllis, you do the talking, or somebody else, and I realized suddenly that they were afraid to talk to people. They weren't comfortable with that. So that's kind of where we're at, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, you've written a book, which is an award winner, and it's called Yes, I Can, and I Will. And I bet you every parent out there said, do you mean you can get my kid to say, yes, I can, and I will?
Yes, that is absolutely right. I'm one of those people that goes in and works with kids, and they know within the first 48 hours that no or I can't is not in the vocabulary.
Gotcha.
I want them to build the confidence to be willing to take risks, that at least they will try. I think in encompassing the book, the other message that I really want families to really get in their heart and in their minds is, what legacy am I leaving behind? I'm thinking about that every single time that I go in and I work with a kid. I may be with them a week, I may be with them a month, I may be with them a year. But in that short period of time, what am I teaching them that's going to help them 5, 10, and 20 years from now?
20 years down the line.
Now, I can give you an example.
Good.
Okay?
Do that.
I worked with a little guy right here in Atlanta at 5 years old. He's now a year out of Vanderbilt University, so he's in his early 20s.
Good.
But in some ways, he was one of my most challenging kids. He was an angel. I mean, like, he was one of the most well-behaved kids that I could have asked for. But he was extremely shy and introverted and a perfectionist at 5, where he was afraid to take risks.
Oh my.
So and his parents were smart enough to know that because they were highly introverted as well, they needed somebody of a totally different personality to come in and work with him.
Sure.
So I got to see this kid absolutely blossom. Okay, but in order to build that confidence, that if you tell me that, you know, this is a particular sport that's your favorite, and feel totally comfortable that, not wondering if I'm going to question what it is that you're saying. And now he got this huge mathematics award that's way over my head from Vanderbilt when he graduated. You know, big into tennis and sports and all of that, and that's one of the greatest things that I could have asked for.
I can imagine it would be, and it is the greatest when you see them later and they walk up to you and you think, oh my, because we never know what that divine being is going to look like, do we?
Yes, and Phyllis, the most hilarious part about that was that I think it was like a month after that book came out, How to Get Your Child to Say Yes, I Can and I Will. It had been like 10 years since I had really worked with him, and I was meeting him for lunch.
Oh.
Okay, and I had the book on the table, okay, and he goes, oh, that has you written all over it. And I said to him, well, why do you say that? He goes, because, he goes, that's everything that you tell all the kids that you work with, is it's yes, I can and I will.
Yes. Well, now one of the things is you've been inspired by, obviously, all that social work and seeing somehow how it helps and somehow how it's dysfunctional.
Yes.
But tell us, do you give parents some kind of model to follow and techniques to follow, particularly the ones that you live with?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, really, the book is all about how to create the nurturing structure. This is a how-to book. I wanted anybody, no matter what their education level was, to be able to pick up this book and say, I can start putting this into practice today. And so I labeled with the 5 C's. If you take the 5 C's and you can do that, then you can go in and you can create structure in your home within 10 days.
Oh, that's important because you know how everybody is. They want it right now. So 5 C's. Please tell us what those 5 C's are.
Okay. So you have creating a structure,
Okay.
communicating effectively, the consistency, your character building all the time, and you're covering them with lots of compassion and cheering.
Okay.
And obviously some of those C's can be tough for some and not for others, but they're all necessary.
Sure.
I think that as I travel around the country, one of the toughest C that I find is probably the middle one.
The middle one.
And it's the consistency.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I mean, you think of even just as individuals what we have, and be able to create that self-discipline.
Right.
And you know, I'm thankful that it's something that's easy for me. Okay, obviously it has to be, or I wouldn't be able to teach it as well.
Exactly.
So that within the first, I can go in and I can turn a house around in 5 days with a kid. I don't care how old they are.
That's exactly right. And you know, but the thing with consistency I found is that sometimes when that consistency coming in, they start rebelling like crazy.
Right.
Because it's very, very, very different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and I talk about that also in one of my chapters in that book called "Why Does My Child Act So Great with Everybody Else but Not with Me?" Okay.
Yeah.
I have parents ask me that all the time
Yeah.
because they see in the community with their teachers, their coaches, that their kids are angels, and that they walk into the house and they're like, "What's up with that? My kid like turned into like Frankenstein or something.
I know it.
What happened?" Okay. Well, you see, because they don't know me, I'm coming into a new home, and they're like, "Well, I don't know what's going to happen if I say no." So that they question the risk.
Yes. Right.
Okay. But obviously, the younger that they are, you know, they may take some risk, but they're going to understand that what I say and what I do is the same thing.
Right.
And that character building that I'm teaching them all along is about integrity.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
are you really thinking about what you're doing and saying at the same time? So they see me follow through from the moment that I begin to give them choices.
So you're modeling for the parents too, aren't you? Because that's the challenge that I see when doing what you're doing, is that some parents do not give very good parenting. There might be really good people, but they're like clueless, and they don't know what to do, and now they have children. And so how do you put Band-Aids on that, or how do you get that newfound skill in them?
Well, to be realistic with you,
Yes.
and it's part of our human nature,
Yes.
is that usually I don't get the call until they feel like they're helpless
Okay.
and they're pulling their hair out.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so but that's what it takes usually for us to change, because we,
5-alarm fire,
yeah,
right?
because
Okay.
we usually don't like change.
No.
You see, we like to be comfortable, and I can be guilty of that in certain areas of my life. Okay, so when I get the call and they're ready for the change, I want them to be thinking about, again, what foundation are you trying to create that's going to last?
Well, we are going to be wrapping up, so I want you to tell the audience, something that is just pressing, that's so valuable that you want to make sure they know on how to work with their child.
I think that one of the things is that we're character building all the time. And if we understand that our character is the thing that never leaves us, and that if you can start reinforcing that at 2 and 3 years old, your kids are going to go out there and conquer the world.
So are you saying, well, you tell them not to lie, but you go ahead and lie. So you're saying to them, you better watch what you're doing too.
That's right.
Yes.
And what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Tape it on your mirror. What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind for my children to equip them?
So they're going to get all this wonderful stuff when they get your book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, and I can tell
And
you.
hopefully they don't have to call you and say, come and live with us for a while, right?
Right. And if you want to know where to get the book, you can go to my website.
Well, we're going to have all that information
Okay,
there
cool.
for everybody, so you
Go.
don't have to tell us that.
Okay.
But I appreciate it. So I want to thank you so much for being on Profiles. I want to just thank you for all the parents and for everybody else. It's very, very important that you spent the time with us today, and we're glad that you joined us today, because Profiles with Phyllis is just what it says. And one of the things is, please stay tuned, because I'm going to be doing some other great interviewing, so don't lose our site number. And the other thing about it is that I want you to remember something. You're valuable, and you do make a difference. Go out and make a difference today, and we hope we see you soon. Take care.